If you've bought or are thinking of buying an OM4 from DJI or the Osmo Mobile 3, then this video will show you all the techniques to get you up and running, and I'll throw in some tips and tricks along the way. Hi, I'm Ade. Welcome to Liquid Earth, a channel all about video and photography on your phone or on your camera. So if that interests you, hit the subscribe button. I'm posting these every single week. By the way, I'd highly recommend the DJI products. The OM4 and the OM3 are very similar. This OM4 gives you this magnetic option here, so you can clip your phone on and off very simply, so that can just go in your pocket. You can take a phone call and then clips back on in no time, and you don't have to worry too much about the balancing. Plus it gives you a bit of a stronger motor than the OM3, so if you've got a heavier phone, maybe that's an option for you. Other than that, all of the functions are all identical. So first things first, download the Mimo app. When you've done that, connect it all up, press and hold this M button here. That's going to turn your gimbal on. It's going to start in portrait mode. Double click on the M button. It's going to switch to landscape mode and vice versa. If you do have problems with pairing, then if you click and hold the record, M and trigger at the same time, then it's going to give you the option to repair. So the gimbals allow you to stabilize your footage on 3 axes. So you've got your tilt, you've got your pan, and you've also got your roll or your spin mode, which is locked in the default follow mode, which we're in at the moment. Now the OM4 has 4 video modes that are accessed from the menu, but if like me you prefer to use the gimbal, then fortunately there's a quick little tip for you. If you press the settings button and go to your gimbal icon, scroll to the bottom where it says press the M button. If you choose quick menu, you'll probably be on photo and video, and then tap on the screen to come out of that. Now all you do is press the M button here and you get this little menu that comes up that shows you your recording mode on the left hand side. So if I go into video, and then on the right hand side you've got those 4 different options, and we'll go through those at the very end to show you what they do, as well as some functions on the trigger that add 7 video shooting modes altogether. Press the M button again to accept, so we're still in follow mode at the moment. Now let's start with the M button then. So if you press and hold the M button until you hear a beep, it's going to put it in standby mode. Press and hold again till you hear the beep, and it's going to spring back to life. Or if you give it a longer hold, you'll hear a couple of beeps. That's going to turn the gimbal off completely. And again, press and long hold, and it's going to turn it back on again. Double click straight into horizontal. You've got your mode on the right hand side, so if you're in photo mode, let's go in, then press the record button, it's going to take a picture. And if you press and hold, it's going to take a burst shot, really cool. If you're in video, then pressing the record button starts your video, and guess what? Pressing once more is going to stop it for you. And in your settings, you've also got this self timer if you want to take a picture of yourself, really cool. The trigger button has various functions. Press and hold, that's going to lock your gimbal on all 3 axes. So no matter what I do, everything's locked in place now. Double click, it's going to reset the gimbal for you. Pressing once on the trigger, it's going to engage active track. It's the same active track that DJI use for all its drones, really tried and tested. And now that allows you to move the gimbal, and it's going to focus and track on that point. You can use your joystick though, if you move it left and right, so you can reposition left and right, up and down, to get it framed just how you want it. Press the trigger once more to turn the active track off. Now if you triple press, it's going to swap from the back to the front cameras, and again if you press once, that's going to actively track. So it's going to capture me. I'm going to move this up and to the left, and there you go. Now it's tracking as I move the gimbal. It's going to focus and track on me. That's great for vlogging, videoing yourself on the go, or sticking on a tripod through some activities. Really useful. I've used it a lot. It's a really great feature. Try it out. Now also with active track, you can draw a rectangle around your subject, and that's going to track on whatever you've drawn that rectangle around. So moving the camera, same again, just reposition with your joystick to wherever you'd like it in the frame. Try drawing a rectangle around an object or subject in the distance. It's going to focus and track it and then move towards it, even in the hyperlapse, which I'll show you a little later on. Now if the gimbal gets out of position or you've used the joystick, again just double tap and that's going to recenter it for you. Next up we've got the sport mode, so if you tap twice and on the second hold then we're into sports mode. So that allows really fast tracking of subjects, straight for sports, obviously it's all in the name, or actually children, dogs running, fast cars, that sort of thing. You get the picture. And then release, and sport mode automatically turns off. Now you can use the gimbal with your native app too, as long as you've set the mode in the DJI and it's connected. So we're in follow mode at the moment, and then I can go to my native app, so I'm in iOS, and I can choose video, and I'm stabilizing just the same as I would if I was in the Mimo app. Sometimes I find the video or the photos are actually better in the iOS app, and maybe the same with Android. I think it's all to do with their computational photography. So if it is, switch over, set your settings up in the Mimo app itself, and it will remember those settings for you. Some of the functions still work, but others don't, so you can't actively track. You can't use the trigger to triple press and reverse the cameras, but you can press and hold and it's going to lock your gimbal. If you press twice and hold, it's not going to go into your sport mode for you. So some of the options not available, but I still find it useful to use the native app sometimes. Now the Mimo app comes with a set of templates in story mode. You've got this little coloured icon on screen, or actually you can scroll and just go into your story. There's lots of templates you can choose from, or actually, but choose one of the templates. Once that's set, press start, and it's going to show you a series of clips at the bottom with times on them. And all you do is hold the camera steady with the gimbal, press the record, and it's going to record the countdown timer. And if there's any transitions or movement of the camera, like so, it's going to add them to it. Press record to skip to the next scene, and then we can press record again to start recording. Anytime you've got this little retake option on the left-hand side, if you want to retake that particular clip, you can do. And you can skip back to any clips to retake it. So work your way through all of those. When you're happy, press the preview, and if that looks good, press the next. You select a couple of these options, press save, and you can either save and post, or you can just save by pressing the cross button. So I'm going to press the cross, press OK. I'm going to come back out of that, and then bottom right hand side you've got this little play icon. So I'll add colour grading, music and transitions, and put that little clip together in a mini movie that you can publish to social media or wherever you like. Now on to the Pano modes, and there's three. Mimo actually added, when they introduced the DJI OM 4, a new Clone Me panoramic. So that takes 3 pictures and the camera will move on its own and ask you to jump into the frame with a little countdown timer. So just press record, you jump into the part that's highlighted, gives you the countdown, takes the first picture, and then it repositions, move into the next frame. Do that 3 times and it will stitch together a little panoramic with you in the frame 3 times. Really cool. And then there's hyperlapse and timelapse options with a really great motion timelapse too. But let's start with the hyperlapse. So in hyperlapse, you're walking through a scenario or a scene and you're speeding that up. So let's go to your options. You can choose HD or a smaller resolution there. You've got speed from 5 to 30 times. Start off with 15 times, I think that's good enough. And then a little tip for you, you can also drag this rectangle out and track a subject. So we're entering active track, press record. Now it's focusing on that and you're walking towards your subject or walking back. Press record again. That very quickly stitches that together. Press your play button and choose your options, choose your video, and there you go. The smallest hyperlapse ever. And then in the time lapse, you've got this little drop down at the very top. Now that allows you to set your interval time. So let's try 1 second. Your duration, so 3 minutes as an example. And then pop it on a tripod, press record, and it's going to count that down. Or you can go into paths, and that's where you get your motion time lapse from. So again, you set the interval and the duration, but also now you've got these paths that you can set. So if I was to set this on a tripod, all you need to do is use your joystick, move it to your very first path and press the little blue icon. Then move the joystick, press the little blue icon again, and you can get this out to 4 paths. Also notice in the little drop down, it shows you how long the duration of your final video is going to be. Press record, and now that's going to spin to your first path, work its way through to your last path and stop. At any stage you can manually stop it by pressing the record button, and now if we go into play, you can choose the latest little video icon, press play, and there's your motion time lapse. DJI also support gestures. If you press this little hand icon, you can turn your gestures on, and then you can follow and shoot or shoot only. The follow and shoot tracks. Let's try that. So once you've set your settings up, I'm going to triple click, reverse the camera, and then use my gesture. It's going to give you a little countdown icon there, and it's going to track you. Again, use the joystick to reposition, position myself wherever I want in the frame, and now you can actively track. And it's also great if you want to stick that on a tripod whilst you're doing some activities or whatever, and it's going to track you wherever you go. And it does a pretty good job, I have to say. Once you've done, you can press the record button, and that's going to stop your recording. Press your little play button in the bottom, and you can see your final result. Now you can also set your focus point and your exposure control. Really good for tricky lighting conditions. So let's do a focus on this little lens here. So if I come down, all I need to do is tap on screen, and it's going to focus wherever you're tapping. If you tap and hold, you'll see this little lock icon appear in the bottom left hand side. You can change your brightness. Now your exposure and your focus is locked, and then you can move out and nothing changes focus or exposure. That's really useful. Tap anywhere and it's going to release the lock for you. So as promised, let's look at all 7 video modes for you. If you've got the quick menu set up, then follow along. Otherwise, you can go into your settings, press your gimbal, and at the top you can choose from 4 different options. The others are on the trigger. But I'm going to press the M button. So the first one we've already looked at is follow. So what follow does is it allows you to tilt, pan, but you can't roll. That axis is fixed. And with all these modes, notice how it glides slowly and softly, starts really smoothly, ends really smoothly. Okay, let's press the M button and go into our next option, which is tilt locked. So tilt locked only allows you to follow the pan. Now it's locked the tilt axis, the clue's in the wording, and you still can't roll. This is great if you want to come down low to high and vice versa. Keeps your horizon nicely locked, but allows you to use your pan if you wish to. Okay, back into the menu, and we're going to choose the next option, which is first person view, FPV. So this unlocks all 3 axes. Now we can roll. It's the only option that allows you to do that roll. So this is really useful if you want to do some snazzy rolling effects. Notice how quick actually the camera moves now. It's like it's in sport mode. So keep it really smooth if you want really smooth, slow footage. And avoid using the camera itself to turn. Use your arm up and down. It's much smoother and easier. And then your final option from the menu is your spin shot. So let's choose that. And now you can use your joystick for a bit of creativity. Great for travel, transitions, that sort of thing. Let's come back out. We're going to go back into our follow mode. And now remember, you can press and hold. That locks all 3 axes, so everything's rock steady. Again, this is really useful for high-low movements or moving in and out where you want to keep absolutely everything rock steady. Press twice, hold the second time, you're in sport mode, and press once, you're in active track mode. So those are the 7 video modes on the Osmo OM4 and also the Osmo Mobile 3 too. If that was useful for you, please subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It does help the channel. If you want to see more, on the bottom right hand side, click that icon, and that's going to go to a playlist with some more in-depth tutorials on the gimbal. Thanks again, guys. Much appreciated. Hope to see you next time. Take care.